Hello and welcome to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today is the 13th of February 2018 and we're going to be talking about the crypto markets, kind of big picture for the year, how I plan to play it as usual. Just some streams, going to be going over any specific questions that we have. So let's go ahead and check the dashboard here and make sure everything is streaming clear, nice and good for everybody here. All right, cool. Let me just get the link from YouTube and drop it into my Discord channel for all my viewers. Okay, where is the link? My channel. Okay, here we go. Let's take this link real quick and drop it into the announcements at everyone. Okay, there we go. All right, so welcome everybody. Let's see. Yes, the LA meetup is soon, actually. Now I'm back from Florida after working with my developer out there for a little while. So I can officially get the meetup going. Can you guys hear me and see me fine? Everything? One guy says he can't see me. Let's see. My hat will be on the new website in the VIP. When you go to the members login, there'll be like a little icon with like my hat and the feather and everything. It looks really cool. So it's going to be part of like the VIP logo members area actually. So, all right, cool. Everybody says the audio and video is working. Excellent. Good to see. So let's just let a couple more people tune in here. It looks like we got about 100 viewers. And let's talk about the crypto markets and what we kind of see, how we see everything going on here for the next little while. Can I comment on Tron? Yes, we will go over Tron once we go over Bitcoin first, because I like to get the important one up and going and TA'd on it first, because the mothership basically controls the prices of the rest of the markets. And so I like to go ahead and do it first. All right, so I was doing a little bit of TA last night, drawing on Bitcoin actually. I dropped a new post on my TradingView, so if you follow me on TradingView, you probably saw it. And if we go over here, this is my post, so I'll just go ahead and drop this in the stream as well. Oop, there's a little sneak peek of the TradingView course. Okay. Accidentally did that. That was hype that you weren't supposed to see. It's all good though. So there is my most recent update publicly about Bitcoin. And I basically just said that I saw a huge ABC correction out of this market cycle and that I'm expecting a bounce because it looks very similar to the way that gold consolidated, and I see gold breaking new all-time highs in the future. The fractal looks basically the same to me, very bullish fractal actually. So I do see consolidation and a bounce, potential retest of 7,200 on the short-term price action, and then some Fibonacci levels to be reached and tested in this bounce. Now, I do want to be talking a little bit about the entire market capitalization as a whole, and like this different scenarios that can be playing out here through 2018, just so that you guys have some more awareness of the different ways that this market cycle can go and kind of form itself. So let's go to my Twitter again. If you guys follow me on Twitter, it's just at highaltitudeinv. I'll just drop that also in the dashboard. I always click on the wrong tabs. Okay, here we go. So there's that Twitter. Now, this is what I really want to show you guys, because I know a lot of people that are convinced that Bitcoin is going to $1,000 or going to $2,000, these really low levels. And although it's completely possible, I personally think that the majority of the correction is over. And there's lots of things that point this out to me. One, it's very similar to the gold fractal, is the big one for me, because gold is a huge bullish consolidation period. Two, this market cycle was very quick and happened fast. That was a road right there, pretty loud next to the road. If you compare it to the NASDAQ internet hype cycle that happened between 1980 and 2015, which by the way is a lot of a wider market cycle. That market cycle took more time than this one. The Bitcoin market cycle that we experienced really only happened in 2017. The majority of the hype and the price action that we saw was in 2017. And if you compare it, that means it's a much smaller market cycle, first of all, so it won't take nearly as long to correct. But when you put them right next to each other like this, it starts to look very, very nice. You start to see that the Bitcoin correction could be over. And we could see a lot of bullish potential through 2018 because we've already done the majority of the shakeout. Everybody, all the newcomers think that it's going to 1,000. I mean, CNBC made a thing about how Bitcoin could go to $900 because it's the same as the internet bubble and it's going to do an 88% drop in market value. But they don't understand how to compare the fractals and the market cycles to each other from the point in which things like actually got serious. And things got really serious when Bitcoin started breaking out of $3,000 in 2017. So that's where I drew the box. And as you can see, these charts look identical to each other. But again, the Bitcoin market cycle is much smaller in time frame. We're talking about something that only happened across a year, whereas the NASDAQ internet bubble cycle was a period of like 5 or 6 years. I would have to look at the exact chart that I made this on with my other computer to see exactly how wide that was, but it was multiple years, over 4 years for that to occur. So that means that this market cycle, because Bitcoin happened faster, will correct and recover much quicker. And as you can see, we've already fell below the mean. This part where the market takes off, actually I'm just going to go ahead and screenshot this and pull it up in my Paint software so that you guys can get a little bit of a closer look at it, because this is very important for everybody. Now, let me just go ahead and zoom into this part right here. Now, let's look at this. This is the takeoff period of a market cycle. As you guys know, I teach market cycles. It's basically the secret to trading, because humans will never change. We always get way too excited about stuff, and then we always get way too hateful about stuff as well. And right now, cryptocurrency is in that hateful stage of the market cycle. So let me just pull this up. Takeoff for sell-off, media attention, delusion, greed, new paradigm, bull trap, return to normal, fear, capitulation, and then you drop below the mean, and then you hit despair. So let's take a look at this current market cycle. This right here, in my opinion, let me just switch to a smaller text here so I can make a nice, clear, readable text here for you. This is takeoff. Okay, this was the first sell-off. Okay, where Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, excuse me, came up and tested that trend line again right there. And then you have media right here. Then you have new paradigm. All right. New paradigm. Okay. I suck at spelling. New paradigm. I apologize. Yeah. Anyways. Close enough. You guys get the picture. I'll just replace this to the crypto to the moon. I just can't remember how to spell new paradigm right now. I apologize. All right, and then we have a bull trap right here. And then you fall below the mean, that trend line that we saw. So here's where it falls below the mean. This is ultimate despair in the market. Everybody thinks it's dead, it's ruined, it's destroyed forever. Now let's take a look and we'll check out the cryptocurrency comparison. So we have a takeoff period. We have a first sell-off right here. And then, you know, we have the to the moon phase. And then we have bull trap. And now we are forming despair. Now, could Bitcoin reach one more lower low? Yes, it could easily touch 5,000 again if it needed to. Because the despair phase can get pretty bloody sometimes. So we could honestly go like this. There's lots of possibilities. We could touch 5,000 one more time, go a little lower. We could break out from the point that we're at right now and just start a bullish market cycle from current prices. We could ride against this mean and then fall back again to another low and then continuate, which is pretty likely. That's kind of how this market cycle played out, where we came up and the previous takeoff period became resistance, and then we retested another low, excuse me. So there's lots of possibilities, but for me personally, anything below this trend line, this resistance line, is an accumulation zone for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. This is a place where you need to be buying and accumulating all of this panic and fear, because everybody else thinks the world is over. Everybody else thinks that cryptocurrency is going to hit $1,000. They're in the despair phase of the market cycle right now. They're not staying logical about market cycles, and they're not comparing fractals and coming and finding examples that they can apply or compare to and then see if it's right or wrong accordingly, right? And for me, that is what this comparison does. It just expresses how humans think the same over and over and over. And so if you analyze that, you can take advantage of that and profit off of it. So instead of being scared right now, think like an analyst, like what's a good word? Yeah, basically just search for the clues, right? Search for the clues that are out there. That's what TA is putting all the little clues together, all the patterns, and analyzing these human emotions, and then just making an opinion on the market based on all of those patterns and the analysis of human emotion. And so for me, my opinion is that we are extremely bullish for cryptocurrency through 2018. Now, we don't know how long the despair phase will be. I personally think that it will last, the majority of it is already over, right? The majority of the correction has already happened. The 2000, once we started to break below 11K, that's when the real correction started happening. And the majority of the move is over already. So even if this takes a couple months to start to take, you know, to start to build momentum, to break new all-time highs in down the road, I am okay with that. I'm just willing to kind of let it ride these cycles and buy the dips and, you know, let the bull trap happen, the second bull trap right here, and then buy the panic again. I'm okay to ride through these cycles and let the market do its thing, because I know big picture what's happening. So I'm just trying to help you guys see that as well. Now, do we have any questions about this current market cycle? All right. I mean, like I said, it's possible for a retest of 5,000. Even 4.5 is totally possible. Because again, if we pull up this NASDAQ chart, let me zoom in here. If we pull up this NASDAQ chart, we can see that when it broke below the mean, which is what Bitcoin just barely did, Bitcoin just barely broke below the mean, it came back up and it kind of tapped that trend line right here. And it just couldn't do it, couldn't break below it. So it could see another low like this. If it follows the same exact pattern and fractal as the NASDAQ internet bubble did, it will do this. It will come up and it will hit some resistance right here, and it'll fall to another low. Now, whether that extra low is 5.5K or 4.2K, it's all possible, right? But one more low doesn't matter. That's just another buying opportunity in my eyes, because the majority of the panic is already over, right? The point is that the bull trap and the real correction phase of the market is done with. So all of the good risk to reward is right here. The good buying zone, the good risk zone for entries is all below that mean, that despair line. So even if it does test one more low, I'm okay with that because I've been accumulating and buying the panic rather than trying to catch a bottom perfectly, right? I don't care because I'm averaging into my position. I've been buying down. I bought some at 10. I bought some at 8. I bought some at 7.2. I bought some just below 7. And I'll probably buy more if we break below the 6 level. You know, it's just accumulating and averaging in on all of this panic because the risk to reward is good for entries here. Another thing that I want to point out is that when you analyze the leg up in the Bitcoin market, we have touched the 786 retracement. Now I will say, so let me just measure from when this leg starts. The leg started right here at 3,000. Okay, so this is a full leg in a market. Leg up. That means that we had a pump up or a leg of market movement on the upside, and then we had a leg down right here. Now with cryptocurrency, if you measure Fibonacci from the bottom of that leg to the top of each leg, it takes a little time to perfectly identify legs, but as you continue to do TA, you should be able to get a better feel for it. And you'll just get more accurate as you go. Trust me, when I first started doing this, all my Fibonacci was in the wrong places. All my triangles were drawn wrong. I would do all the classic TA mistakes, but it's just over time and watching it drawn over and over again, you start to understand it better and get a better feel for what you're doing when you're drawing all these lines. So with cryptocurrency, a lot of times we see the retest of each leg between the 786 and the 0.88% retracement. I remember back in the day when I was telling everybody to buy Stellar Lumens. Let's go look at Stellar Lumens as an example. They didn't believe me. I remember a lot of people saying it was a dead coin because they were distributing the market. They were basically saying that they were increasing the supply of tokens to decrease the value. And that just sounded like a classic FUD scenario to me, because supply and demand drives market value. So if a coin is like, hey, we're giving all these free lumens out to people to increase the supply, that's like a perfect FUD scenario, right? That's a perfect thing for them to use to get everybody to sell their coins because they think there's a bunch of them. They're in high supply, so why would they want them anymore? So that's kind of what happened from here to here as they started distributing out free Stellar Lumens to people. And I don't trade fundamentals, so I don't know exactly how that worked, but I remember people telling me why this coin would never moon. And I started telling people to buy this coin first to the 0.786 when I started averaging into my position at 1 cent, just over 1 cent, 1.6 cents. And then I started really buying even more when we dropped down to the 88% retracement because I saw these volume spikes coming in. And I knew that if this had pumped this hard in the past, and that was the fractal that Stellar did, where it just pumps all at once, it was going to do it again if it started another bullish market cycle. So I started buying at these really low retracements. And since those levels, now I didn't exit all of my position out with this exact percentage gain. I believe my average exit was about 2,600% for my entry. But if you measure, oops, that's a date range. Let's do price range. If you measure that, we moved 5,700% up from the 88% retracement. So crypto is volatile, you guys. It goes all the way up in a leg, and a lot of times they go all the way back down in a leg. But don't get stuck looking at the full thing. Don't try to call the top on the markets just because you see its correction inside of a leg, right? That's one thing that I see happening a lot across Twitter, and people are just trying to call the top on the entire cryptocurrency market, but they're not measuring it leg by leg. All right, let's go into, so anyways, for Bitcoin to pump after hitting these lower retracements is totally possible. Let's go back to the Bitcoin chart here. looking at this leg. So yeah, we could touch the 88% retracement at 5K. That's totally possible, you guys. And I don't want you to sell the bottom if we do hit that point. Because it will be, a lot of people will be very tempted to, because there's going to be maximum fear, uncertainty, and doubt in that phase of the market, right? Because that's the perfect point for the whales to buy as much as they possibly can, is at those lowest retracements. So let's see how the live is thinking about this. All right, so I personally think that altcoins and Bitcoin will perform phenomenally in 2018. I see a lot of bullish market movement across the map. I know that if you check the weekly candlesticks, this could be very scary. Trust me, I check the weekly candlesticks too. I know a lot of people open the weekly candlesticks up and they're like, holy cow, this is dead. This is gonna go all the way back down to here, right? They think that we'll see a full retracement in market value. But if you see this, we have increasing volume along this trend. Now let me show you a trend that isn't looking so healthy, okay? And bless Apple's soul, not really. Apple, you know, could live without them really in this world. But as you can see, this trend is increasing in price and declining in volume. Now, does that look sustainable? No. Apple is going to have a retracement in value. People will think that this market's dead. They'll say that it will never recover. They'll consider a dead stock forever. And it's really just doing an ABC correction. So let's just draw this right here. 1, 2. That's the 3, 4, 5. The reason I know that is because I can draw the subwaves in the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're getting 5s on 5s and declining volume. It's very likely, in my opinion, that Apple sees a retracement back down below $100 per share in the next couple of years. And that sounds crazy, but it's just the market cycle. We have declining volume and increasing prices. It's unsustainable growth. Okay? Now, this is what cryptocurrency looks like to me right now. The first sell-off phase of a market cycle. Right? Let's go look at this market cycle chart. First sell-off, the first bear trap. You know why? It's because we have increasing volume on our trend line. This is where people are just, the most hype is there. A bunch of people are buying, a bunch of people are selling, but it gives the liquidity for institutional investors to buy the panic. So that's what's happening in cryptocurrency right now, is there's a lot of FUD across the map and across the market, and it's providing institutional investors an opportunity to be getting into Bitcoin in this dip. See, this is a healthy trend. We have increasing volume along our trend line. So if we kind of pull the market down like this and look at the monthly candlesticks again and treat this as a first sell-off in a new market cycle, we can start to get a better picture for what 2018 could look like for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And that's kind of what I see happening, is like a double bottom, a little bit of consolidation, maybe some upward movement through the mid of summer. Midsummer, we could have a little bit of upward movement after we have that bounce, and another little dip here. Now, I don't project exact timing on markets. I know I've been saying that Bitcoin could have a spring correction due to the Elliott wave count. So there is a bounce and then another correction, but the real hype will be in full force by mid this year. Towards the end of this year, we'll have hype full force. And I'm just going to call that right now, is that cryptocurrency will be recovered by the end of this year, guaranteed. With, well, nothing's guaranteed, but the way that I see this market cycle playing out is we'll have a consolidation period right here. And by the end of the year, based on my probabilities and what I see, we'll have a full recovery in the market cap. Okay, now let's take a look at how altcoins will be affected by that, because everybody wants to know. And the truth is that altcoins will be right behind Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the mothership of all of this hype, basically. It drives the hype. When the hype in Bitcoin is gone, the hype in altcoins is gone too. I mean, it's just clear as day. The second Bitcoin starts dumping, everything else follows right behind it. And usually bleed harder than Bitcoin does, by the way. All right. My Bitcoin to altcoin percentage ratio, I personally hold 30% Bitcoin, 30% USDT, and then I keep the rest diversified in between altcoins or more USDT if I'm not in a certain position. So that's kind of my distribution of portfolio, and you could use the same. So I don't know if you have been reading anything about the fundamentals, Jonathan, with the regulation and the regulatory stuff. But actually, if you look into it, yes, my 100K prediction is still valid for 2018. But if you look into the regulation side of things, our government is very open to cryptocurrency. Even Janet Yellen, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the one thing that is literally the most scared of Bitcoin and crypto, said that they can't stop it anyways. So I personally am extremely bullish on cryptocurrency and don't think that regulation will cause any problems until maybe when we see overvaluation, because there'll be so many weird little things going on that it will need to be regulated because it will be out of hand, right? So when we get into the real bubble in crypto, when we get into the real overvaluation, I don't like to call it a bubble because it's really just a market cycle. So when this starts to, you know, if we look at this comparison chart, when this starts to moon again, right, and we break all-time highs, and we get into the real overvaluation phase again, once we start getting into the $100,000 levels, I talk about this a lot, would be a great spot to see overvaluation in crypto. That would be a nice target for the overvaluation phase. Then, when we get to that phase of the market, then yeah, I think that the government will come around and start regulating things, and it will just purely be because of the fact that it will be out of control, right? There won't really be, there'll be so many weird little things going on that they'll have to do some type of regulation, essentially. And so that's what I see. I think that they'll be very open to it. I think they'll let the market cycle ride because it's very profitable for them to, especially since they just put new tax laws in place for 2018 with cryptocurrency. So I think that they did that on purpose. They got their profit in place, right? They can ride and they can profit off of the market cycle that's about to come. And then, yeah, maybe at the top, then they'll start regulating things because it's the government and they like to regulate everything. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. Yeah, I am serious about Bitcoin hitting $100,000 per coin. A lot of people will be very wealthy, and a lot of people will buy the top and get stuck in a market cycle. It's, you know, there's going to be people that make a lot of money off of it. There's going to be people that lose a lot of money off of it. It will, but it's always going to feed the rich. I mean, the smart and the wealthy. So if you have the right mindset, and you can learn how to manage these market cycles and you accumulate wealth, it's always going to be profitable to have high hype cycles like this. And so if you understand how to play the market, then you'll be okay. But it's true that a lot of people will buy the top and lose money because trading is kind of a brutal game in a lot of ways. You know, somebody has to lose. So just be aware of that. All right. No, I don't think that I don't have a long-term top for Bitcoin. There's not like, it's really not like it can't hit any number, because the reason that cryptocurrency goes up is because the dollar goes down, okay? So that's the reason everything goes up in values, because the dollar is losing value, okay? So yes, it's totally possible for Bitcoin to reach $1 million. And yes, some of it's because Bitcoin is good technology, but a lot of it is just because the dollar is losing so much value that it's not crazy for it to be $1 million to cost a Bitcoin. So that's kind of how you have to look at it. And the reason for that is because of fractional reserve banking. Basically, if you deposit $1 into your bank account, they can lend out 9 times more than what you actually have in the bank. So that means that they can lend 90 cents out, okay? If you deposit $1, and they only have to keep 10% of what you've deposited into the bank. So that means that the bank can basically just expand money over and over and over. So the dollar continues to lose value because it gets lended out to more and more people created out of thin air via fractional reserve banking. So again, let's put that one more time to see if I can explain it simply for anybody that doesn't understand it. And I'll just use $10 in his example. If I deposit $10 into my bank account, the bank can actually lend out up to $9 and only leave one of those in. And then whoever gets that $9 can go deposit it into their bank. And then again, they only have to keep 10% of the deposit so they can lend out the rest. So it's just this infinite cycle of devaluation of the US currency. And it is literally the reason that the people that don't understand investing get bit in the ass, and it ends up being the poor a lot of times, as sad as it is, because they just don't have access to the education, which is one of the reasons that I created this YouTube channel, was I wanted to help people get the education so that they don't get stuck in the bottom of the way that all of this is set up. Because if you understand investing, you avoid the devaluation of the dollar because you hedge your dollars against things that are good investments at the right times, right? And so if you understand basic investing, you can avoid it and you can actually profit off of the cycle that we're in. But it is caused because of inflation and banking and fractional reserve banking. So, you know, and I started, you guys, at the start of 2017, I had $1,000 in cryptocurrency. Now, I'm not going to say exactly how much I've made because I don't care about the money, but I will never have to worry about money from a stressful perspective again. I'll tell you that for sure. So that's what you can do in a very short period of time. I never had money before this, by the way. I come from a family that literally had farm animals, and I rode horses growing up and played in the woods and really basic stuff like that. So it's not like I come from a family of wealth and I didn't start with very much, but it's just because I understand the basics of fractional reserve banking and investing and market cycles. And once you understand those 3 things, which is what my channel is all about, then you can profit from all of this. So yeah, that's kind of, there's a little inspiration for you guys too, is that, you know, you don't have to have a lot of money to make a lot of money doing this. All right. You just have to be open-minded. That's all you have to be, and willing to take a bit of a risk, because it is a risk, you know. But honestly, for me, the risk of holding my money in the US dollar is higher than betting it on certain investments. So you have to think of it like if you had $1 million in your bank account and you held it your whole life, that $1 million is only going to get, guaranteed, will become less money every single year. That $1 million will have less and less purchasing power every single year. So for me, the risk is higher holding it in the dollar than investing anyways. All right. Yes, I expect all of my Digibyte, all of my VIP calls, targets are still valid and in place. Again, this is, I see this as the bottom or nearing the bottom of this correction. Now, nobody knows how long this correction will last, I personally think it will be over pretty quickly because of how parabolic cryptocurrency moves. It pumps quick, it corrects quick, and then it pumps quick again. So I think that the correction won't be as long as maybe a lot of people think it will be. But nobody truly knows. And that's just, that's just the blunt truth, is that nobody really knows how long this correction will be. Now, I have 5-day candlesticks on, and on 5-day candlesticks, this is a bullish pin candle, which is a good sign. The bottom could be in, you guys. This is why it's best to average into positions, because you don't know for sure if the bottom's in until we start to see some clear market structure. And what I mean by market structure is waves, impulses up or impulses down. Whether we have some impulsing up like that, then it will be very clearly bullish, because we'll have, obviously the market will have accumulated up quickly, right? And so once we start to get that market structure, we get a better picture. If we start to see something like that, maybe it has to do like that for a minute and then go up, right? If we start to see something like that, which is totally possible. Now, I don't see this as the likely scenario, but, all possibilities. Then we could maybe see something like this where we have a double bottom, it bleeds out a little bit more. And then we see continuation. Either way, it doesn't matter where the low is. The hype is here and the technology is good. So it's gonna keep going up in value. And the trend is healthy. Again, that volume in this trend is extremely important. We have increasing volume and declining prices. That's a good sign. As opposed to, like I said, the stock market, a lot of these tech stocks right now in the stock market, tech stocks specifically, like Silicon Valley stocks, are overvalued. Look at Netflix, and it might still have another leg up, you guys. It's possible for us to see more legs in these charts, but either way, the overvaluation is here. So the risk to reward ratio is in sellers. The risk to reward of these charts are in favor of the sellers right now. Again, you could have another pump like this in the market, but either way, it doesn't matter. We've been in overvaluation for this since, really since we started having declining volume and increasing prices out of this pennant right here. Overvaluation ever since that point. So at some point this will need to correct down. We don't know exactly when that is, but once we start to see some clear market structure on the downside, this could be something that you can short, right? Let's move into the 1-month candlesticks. So once you start to see some clear structure like this, then you could start taking short positions on the bull traps and ride the wave down. Because this will need to do an ABC correction of some sorts before it continuates and possibly goes higher down the road. All right, now let's go into some specific TA on certain altcoins, because I want to go over like Tron, TRX, because this one is heavily hyped and heavily requested all the time. And I have positions in it as well. They're not as big as they were before. And I'll show you why in just a second. All right, so I did downsize my Tron position a little bit in this pump right here yesterday or a couple days ago. Oh yeah, about 3 days ago, I started downsizing my position on Tron, and I'll show you why that I did that. Because I started to see on the 4-hour, here we go, 6-hour time frame, that this was riding the Ichimoku perfectly as resistance. So I checked on the 6-hour time frame and I saw this chart, and pretty soon I noticed that we were getting a bearish engulfing candlestick at the top right next to all of that Ichimoku resistance. So I was like, okay, I've been buying since about 420 Satoshis was actually where I called on my trading view would be the bounce point for Tron. I made a chart that said that it would drop down to that level. Now let's go ahead and put right here. So that's about that level right there. And so I've been buying the dip anyway, so I actually came out with a small profit when I downsized. But I just saw the Ichimoku cloud as having some subjective risk. So I decided to downsize on that position and kind of let it ride through this cycle, because this is still bullish, obviously, but it's having a hard time finding its bottom. It kind of reminds me of how Ripple started to bleed in a channel. I'll show you an example of that in just a second. So I wouldn't be surprised if we still retest lower lows one more time for Tron at like 260 like this, and just kind of do this painful bleeding consolidation period because of that Ichimoku cloud. We needed a little bit more of a clear breakout from this level, some price action on the upside right here, or some price action up here, which I was looking at some falling wedges like that. If we would have had market structure a little bit more like this, with some continuation breaking through that cloud early on, the risk wouldn't have been there for that Ichimoku cloud, because on the other time frames, the Ichimoku cloud is fine, actually. Like on the 12-hour, you've got a little bit of resistance, but on the daily, the cloud isn't even existent yet. And if we check on the 3-hour, we're basically in an Ichimoku breakout point. So, you know, it's just that one 6-hour time frame that was a little too risky for me, because it seemed to be respecting the cloud around in this area before that zone. So I downsized a little bit on Tron, but I'm still bullish. I'm just going to let this one catch a bottom before I really get too heavily into this coin. All right. Now let's check out. No, I'm not afraid of holding 30% USDT personally. I don't believe all the FUD. And a lot of people, you know, take it for what it's worth, but I don't believe the FUD. All right, Verge, let's go over Verge. And I don't want to get into exact targets for this coin, but we'll just talk a little bit about how it's moving. And the reason that I don't want to get into exact targets is because this is a private call. So this is one that we are trading currently in the community. But this one is consolidating downwards nicely. We're starting to see some rounded movement. So we can get a curve tool and we can go like this. You go like that, and bam. You start to see that this coin is seeing a very, very nice consolidation period downwards. Starting to round out at these lows, which is very nice. Now let's do the Fibonacci retracement from the low to the high. There we go. And we've already touched the 88% retracement on Verge, which tells me that it's likely that the lowest low is in. But again, we don't know for sure. We could see a lower low. It's very possible. All right. Because this one will follow Bitcoin, and we do have a lot of Ichimoku resistance here, right? So even though we've hit the lowest retracement on the Fibonacci tool, we still have resistance in other indicators or other trading strategies that we're using, like the Ichimoku cloud and like this descending resistance line right here that it's been reacting to. So there's still some key significant resistance here. So another lower low is very possible here, down at like 28 cents to 4 cents. But again, you would never panic sell that bottom, because if all of these coins are going to follow shortly behind Bitcoin and Bitcoin is nearing its bottom, this is a risk to reward for buying. And the reason for that is, again, we just pull up the Fibonacci retracement tool and you just measure this leg in the market. And once you start to see that we've retraced 88% of our market value, the risk of buying is way less than the risk of selling. Now, if we were up here, in this point of the market, up closer to 236, the risk of selling would have been less than the risk of buying. So that's how you measure risk to reward ratio, is to use the Fibonacci tool in a certain leg or a certain pump in the market, and then you find how how far it's in terms of percentage retraced down, and then that tells you your risk on that entry, right? So you want to get the lowest risk possible. Now, again, the lowest risk possible would be in this zone right here, because that's where the majority of the buyers have been shook out. So even if it's just a bounce, even if it just went like this, where it goes bounce and then still went down, you don't care, because the risk to reward is better for buying right here than selling. So even if you're just swing trading this and you don't see it having continuation like I do, then you've still got a perfect time to be buying this coin this low. All right, remove all drawing tools. Let's check the dashboard. Yes, my prediction still holds for Tron. It just needs to consolidate longer. BAT. All right. I hope that you're all learning and enjoying this stream. I love doing these things. I would have done one last week, but instead I made the margin trading video for anybody that wants to learn how to trade margin. Go ahead and watch that video. It's on my channel. Basically teaches you the basics of using Poloniex or BitMEX, but just a quick disclaimer, margin is extremely high risk. So I just want to really reiterate that, because I know that some idiot is gonna hop on margin and lose some money. So, all right. Okay, so BAT, that's what people wanted me to look at, not Bitcoin. What am I doing? Okay, BAT. All right, let's remove all drawing tools. And let's start to do some TA on this. All right, so we had a rounded bottom, the beginnings of a new market cycle. Let me just make sure that my auto scale isn't in. Come on. All right. Now, I'm just going to draw a line from these lows down. And from these lows down as well. So we can start to get a better picture of what's going on here. Okay. Now I'm just drawing a falling wedge pattern. This is a classic falling wedge pattern. This is one that a lot of my viewers, I'm sure, are pretty used to seeing. Falling wedge. And this basically just means the sellers are getting squeezed by buyers. So this is a bullish pattern. Even though it's falling, it's a bullish continuation pattern. So we're expecting higher highs after this pattern. Okay, now let's go ahead and pull this and then switch this to an intermediate cycle. And then we can draw some subwaves. Assume that this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe one more lower low. For BAT, don't sell, because again, that's the falling wedge pattern. We have a nice volume spike right here in the market. During the pumping phase right here, we have a lot of volume. And so this is all getting accumulated in this zone. I expect another lower low again for this, so it will probably do a full retracement like that, and that could be the first wave in the cycle. So we'd expect a 3 wave after that. Now 3 waves are extremely impulsive, so it will be even faster movement than what we saw with basic attention token through that period right there. Okay, so that's my general TA for BAT. Now let's take a couple more requests here. Qtum. All right. QDM is actually a very similar chart to basic attention token. We haven't really had a serious market cycle in this yet. It's just kind of mainly consolidating. This one does have a little bit more significant volume coming in earlier. So the bottom could potentially be in. I think we'll see a lower low on many of these coins. But we just kind of have to wait over the next little while to see how they play out. Because if they break resistance here, we will not see a lower low. We'll see something like this. If we have a breakout in resistance of that wedge, they'll fall back near the wedge, but we won't make a lower low, and we'll see continuation. All right. We just have to watch how the market kind of reacts. Okay, this will be an A, B, C correction. And now we are just kind of watching this resistance level and this support level. So again, this is a good spot to be accumulating. Basically, the entire market cap is in an accumulation zone. All of these charts look like they're in good buy zones for entries. So even if they test lower lows, even if they bounce around, again, the risk factor is in the favor of the buyers rather than the sellers. All right. TD Ameritrade is one that I know a lot of people use, but I don't have as much knowledge in the stock world, so that's something you'll probably want to do more research into yourself. All right. Let's go over GVT. Looks heavily hyped. This place is hectic today. Got a ton of coin requests. Genesis Vision coin. Now I really like to trade these Binance tokens. They have the weirdest charts. The weirdest charts. All right. So, wow. Yeah, this is quite the coin here. Talk about volatility. Okay, let me just kind of look here. Does have nice volume. So if I go to the daily and we just kind of draw a horizontal channel here, ignoring wicks. So wicks are these lines in the market right here where the price moved so quick that the candle closed back below those levels. So we just kind of have a side channel here. I guess I would just watch support of this channel. If we break below support, then it's likely we retest these lows, these lowest lows. But if we do have any clear market structure that starts to trend up, if we start to see something like this and the prices are like pretending they want to do a crazy breakout, that could be a very bullish channel here. But for me, this would be more likely in the favor of a downside move. And the main reason for that is because of the amount of profit-taking wicks that we have up here in the market. So that just means that prices rallied upwards extremely quickly, and then they couldn't sustain that growth and sellers came in. And then they rallied up extremely quickly, couldn't sustain that growth, sellers came in. So it just means that there's a lot of people taking profits into a lot of hype, which is generally a reversal sign, or at least a short-term reversal sign. So I would put this in the favor of bearish movement, but I will say that we have a turning MACD. So we have a momentum indicator showing a potential up move, and we have bullish volume. So this is one that I wouldn't really want to try to trade. I just don't see any clear setups in it. It's not like an easy ABC correction. It's giving me mixed signals. So it's not exactly one that I would personally try to buy, but that's just based on my personal trading strategy. Everybody uses different factors in their analysis. So, but I see this as seeing a little bit more downside movement and potentially breaking below this channel and retesting highs of 0.000 0.01. So that's my analysis on Genesis Vision. And now let's go over BitConnect. NXT. Let's talk about NXT. Or yeah, let's do Nano. Let's do Nano actually. Nano's better. Well, I don't know about that, but all right. So Nano is definitely one that if you aren't accumulating, you should probably consider accumulating at least. Now on the Binance chart, you just get this huge ABC correction. You don't really get too much of the story of what's going on here. But you do have all of these volume bars. Like look at these huge volume bars and just decreasing prices. So this is a very, very bullish form of downward movement, because we have so much increasing volume and an ABC correction. So that's a bullish corrective pattern here. Now let's go ahead and check out the actual chart on CoinMarketCap, because you get a better idea of what's going on. So let's check out the Nano on here. And this is a beautiful, beautiful setup, you guys. Huge falling wedge after a big hype cycle. So we have this huge pump, huge hype cycle, and then this ginormous falling wedge and accumulation point with huge volume spikes coming in, like just seriously ridiculous volume spikes right here. So as far as like a setup goes, Nano is forming a very, very nice setup by the way that it's consolidating and dropping here, with the Bitcoin chart showing decreasing prices, increasing volume, and an ABC, and the CoinMarketCap chart showing a very nice full market cycle, because this has a little more data from the other exchanges. Full market cycle and almost full retrace. So perfect risk to reward for entries in this area. So yeah, I am very bullish across cryptocurrency. I think that the majority of the correction is over. Again, I wanted to point that out. This is looking like a big bull flag to me. And I posted this a little bit in my VIP area, just talking about how this is a bullish pattern, and that even if we see another lower low, it's still a bullish pattern because of this ABC correction. So as far as crypto goes for 2018, it's going to be an amazing year, you guys. We'll see new all-time highs. We'll all make a lot of money. There's going to be a lot of pumping, a lot of hype, a lot of FUD, a lot of things to ignore. I just want to consistently remind you guys to tune out from the bullshit, avoid the news, like seriously stop reading news articles, just try it for a little while and only use lines and TA and see how you feel about the market and your accuracy and your general perception of the market cycles, because it will completely change your perception of market cycles. And trust me, there's so much illegitimate information in news stories, even the very big popular news places for cryptocurrency spread FUD. So I just want to consistently remind you guys to pay attention to the market cycles. Remember that price action is a reflection of sentiment. So the reason that prices go up is because people get excited and put more money in, rather than news articles or stories, is because they invest in something, they make a profit, so they want to put more in, so therefore more value goes up, and then at some point they've made enough money that they take their profits, so therefore it needs a correction. And that's just a cycle of markets. They never change, and humans never change either, so you can continue to play them. So yeah, 2018 is going to be a great year for all of us. Very bullish on the market as usual. You guys know I am a bullish cryptocurrency market trader, and you guys can obviously see in these charts that I've been making why I'm bullish with the NASDAQ comparison, and how quickly this correction happened gives us all of this room now for bullish movement to come. And really the risk to reward is for buyers rather than sellers at these levels. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about this in specifics, my new website will be done by the end of this month. But if you want to check out my current course and what I've got going on right now, you can go over to highaltitudecrypto.io and press Become a VIP. I have two options, a 1 year or a lifetime option. This includes videos, private channels, a place where you can come and copy my exact trades. So if you want to be copying my trades and just, take some of your money and start profiting off of this very quickly, you can. And then I personally like to teach a man to fish rather than give a man a fish. So the signals area is just kind of something that people can use to start making money quickly, but the real point of the VIP and the Discord and the chat channel is just so that we can all be learning and understanding market cycles and getting that knowledge, learning how to fish for yourself so that you can understand why I post these entries and find entries for yourself and make money off of these coins on your own without having to copy the trades. So I have a great community. Stop by, check it out if you are interested. There's also coupons in the description right here. Crypto Moon 18 gives you 20% off, so at least consider that as an option for learning cryptocurrency and all of their that is theirs to learn, because there's a ton about crypto to learn. And trust me, I'm still learning too. Everybody is. Anybody that tells you that they know everything about trading is lying, because there's constantly new things to learn every day. So it's really just, we're here for the long term, we're here for the ride, and it's going to be an amazing experience for everybody that sticks through it and learns how to ride these market cycles and learns how to profit off of them. So I hope that you all have a great week trading and enjoyed this stream. As always, stay profitable out there.